Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Sean Ryan, CEO of Aqua, to discuss bridging Web2 gaming to Web3 gaming and why it will surge in coming years. Sean, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for having me.
First, explain to us how blockchain is making gaming better and why you think we're going to see this surge.
Sure. There's about 3 billion gamers in the world on a monthly basis, and they spend about $200 billion a year. But they can't own those assets at the end of the game. So let's pretend you're playing Candy Crush Saga and you played it for 100 hours or 1,000 hours, and you don't want to switch games. At the end of it, you just lose all those assets that you've accumulated. With blockchain gaming, you can take those assets, whatever they are, inside the game and sell them to other people who may want to move ahead faster. So it gives you ownership over the digital assets in a way that Web2 doesn't allow.
Yeah, it's interesting. You noted that gamers really aren't doing this to make money. They want to win, they want to compete, they want to be entertained.
Correct. There was this early part of blockchain gaming where it was about play to earn, and people thought this was about making money. But entertainment is about spending money to have fun, to be entertained. When I go to the movie studio, when I go to the movie theater, or when I go to a soccer game, I don't expect to make money. I expect to spend money to be entertained. Gamers spend $200 billion a year. They want to be able to have a little more ownership over those assets, just like you wouldn't buy a car if you couldn't sell it. You wouldn't buy a house if you couldn't sell it. But many of these gamers spend tens of thousands of dollars a year in games and can't do anything with those assets whenever they're done, or if they just want to trade them out for other ones.
You know, it's interesting when we think of blockchain, it's typically with a crypto or NFTs or decentralized finance. But when you think about it, games are actually the most mainstream way to understand how the technology works.
Completely agree. We believe at Aqua that the next wave of crypto users will be from blockchain gaming. It's the most mainstream way to be introduced to an digital asset that has utility, meaning it's not just a pretty picture of an ape. It is something you can use inside the game to be a better player in FIFA or potentially a better a way to get ahead faster in Call of Duty. So it's a very natural thing. Gamers in Web2 today often purchase things or in-app purchases to move ahead faster. They just don't own those assets. Blockchain is a very natural move for that in Web3.
I think what makes blockchain and Web3 exciting is the fact that there's so much content that's being created by the user. You're not reliant on, necessarily only the studio or only the artists that are creating these games, but there's so much that's being derived from the users themselves.
User-generated content is going to be big in Web3. Absolutely agree that creators can move to this system and make money the way they did in Web2, but have more ownership. And so I agree. The idea that you can move these assets seamlessly from user to user is such a powerful win. Gamers are also a little more sophisticated technically than some of the later adopters. So they're willing to put up with some of the friction that you still see in an early stage market like today.
Sean, where does Aqua fit into the ecosystem?
So Aqua.xyz is a digital asset marketplace, so like in eBay, but for gaming assets. We believe gamers are the most important category of blockchain users, and they want a site that speaks to them, that allows them to easily trade digital game assets with each other, as well as be introduced to new games from exciting new publishers, because we're seeing hundreds and hundreds of new games coming out over the next couple of years.
And Sean, from my understanding, you have extensive history in gaming. So when you think about how it's evolved, it sounds like the big component of where we are right now with gaming is almost the e-commerce behind it.
Yeah, it really is. We've seen gaming evolve to be such a large industry, the largest media industry in the world. Again, 3 billion people playing it. But really what has changed now is you can spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours inside a game and have ownership over that. So it is a bit of an e-commerce play, but gamers have always wanted to buy and sell assets from each other. Just in Web2, they weren't able to do so. We're not asking gamers for new behavior here. We're asking to enable behavior they always wanted to do, but it wasn't allowed by the technology or the rules of the game.
All right, Sean, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you so much, Jill. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.